What's going on, everyone? Mike here, coming at you yet again from Badlands Paintball. Today I'm going to be doing a review on how to adjust your Empire Mini Trigger. A few of our viewers out there are avid Empire Mini users, and we're just a little bit confused as to how the adjustments work on that Mini Trigger. So we are going to take a little bit of a closer look here. Come on in tight and I'll show you how to adjust this trigger. Alright everyone, so we have our Empire Mini here. The Empire Mini does have three main adjustment screws. One on the actual face right here. You've got another one closer to the trigger frame itself at the top. And then a third one closer to the actual grip frame on the top as well, okay? So those are the only three screws that you have to worry about for adjusting your trigger. Now the most important one, in my opinion, is going to be the very top one here, closest to the actual front grip. And that adjustment is going to be to adjust our activation point on the trigger. So the point at which that gun actually fires. Now this is a very important one too, because if you create too much distance or too little travel, you're going to end up having some issues. So how this screw actually works here is that screw is going to be attached to a magnet, okay? And that magnet is going to work in corresponding with a magnet on the actual circuit board on the top here. So by pulling that magnet further out, that's going to separate the magnet on the trigger from the magnet on that circuit board. That means that the activation point is going to be sooner. It's sooner that those magnets are spread out enough that it activates that firing mechanism. Now the risk that you can run into is screwing out that trigger too far, or that magnet too far I should say, and at that point the gun is going to think that it is always activated. For that gun to fire, you actually have to have a point where those magnets are close enough that they're connected, and then initiate into a point where they're far enough away. If it's constantly too far away for those magnets to touch, then it's not going to actually fire for you, okay? On the opposite side of the spectrum, if you tighten up that magnet too close to its counterpart on the circuit board, if you pull the trigger, those magnets aren't going to get far enough apart to fire. So it's very important that you understand, if you tighten it up too much or not quite enough, you're not going to get an activation on your trigger, okay? Same sort of thing can happen with the next screw back, a little bit closer to the trigger, to the frame I should say. That screw is going to adjust the forward travel. So that's going to adjust just how far that trigger can go before activating that micro switch as well. So that's going to be one that you probably don't have to adjust quite as much, but you are going to have to keep track of in correspondence with the magnet here, just to make sure that those two are lined up nicely, okay? The third adjustment point is going to be the travel after the after the actual activation point, and that's this screw here. So by screwing this screw in, you're going to eliminate the amount of distance traveled. By screwing it out, you're going to allow more distance traveled afterwards, okay? So the main one you're going to want to adjust is this bottom one here to adjust the distance traveled after, as well as the front top one here that's going to adjust the activation point. And after you adjust that one, you may have to make some fine-tune adjustments with the rear top screw here as well, okay? Alright everybody, so at this point you should have been able to use the 3-screw adjustment to get your mini trigger set just perfectly for you, so you're going to be able to walk that trigger effectively and get some proper eliminations. Now before you go out and play some paintball, if you are keen on seeing any of the Empire Minis, please come into any of our 9 locations across Canada. These do come in a multitude of colors, so there's a really great look to them. You want to check them out there. Also you can see the minis on our webpage at www.badlandspaintball.com. While you're online, definitely make sure you check out our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. I've got a lot of promotions going on Facebook right now, so it's a great chance to win some free stuff. And if you do like these videos, please share them, like them on our YouTube channel, and above all, please comment, okay? This Empire Mini Trigger setup was actually requested by one of our viewers, so if there's anything you want to see, let us know and we'll make sure to to make a video for you, okay? So now that your trigger's all set up, guys, go on out there and play some paintball, alright?